In a cozy little village nestled beside a wide, shimmering river, lived a duck named Della. Della wasn't like the other ducks. While they were busy quacking about breadcrumbs and the best spots for a sunny nap, Della was a listener. She had discovered a secret. The wind could talk, not in words, of course, but in whispers. It would rustle the leaves in a special way to warn of a coming storm, or whistle through the reeds to signal that the river was rising. But whenever Della tried to tell the others, they would just ruffle their feathers and say, "Ooh, Della, it's just the wind. All except one." Her best friend was a young, bouncy dog named Milo. Milo was a whirlwind of floppy ears, a wagging tail, and paws that were always a little too big for his body. He was loyal and kind, but he was also clumsy and never, ever paid attention. If there was a butterfly to chase or a funny smell to sniff, Milo was on it, often tumbling right into a mud puddle or a patch of thorny bushes. Still, he believed Della. "The wind talks," he'd ask, his head tilted. "Wow, what does it say?" One sunny afternoon, Della was preening her feathers by the riverbank when a strange little breeze tickled her neck. It wasn't a normal breeze. It felt jumpy. The willow branches trembled, not in their usual gentle sway, but with a nervous shiver. "Milo," Della quacked softly, "the wind is telling me something's not right." Milo, who was trying to balance a stick on his nose, dropped it with a clatter. "What is it, Della?" "A big, juicy bone buried somewhere." "No, silly," she giggled. "It's a warning. The wind says to be careful near the old oak tree on the hill." Milo's ears perked up. "The old oak tree? But that's where the best chasing squirrels are." And before Della could say another word, he was off, a brown and white blur of excitement, barking happily as he bounded up the hill. Della sighed and waddled after him. She knew teaching Milo to listen would be a challenge. When she reached the oak tree, she found Milo staring up at a huge branch, whining. His favorite red ball was stuck high up, just out of his reach. "I tried to jump and get it," he panted, "but I just keep bumping my head." Della looked at the branch. It was thick and old, with a long, dark crack running down its side. The wind was swirling around it, making a low, groaning sound. "Milo," she said firmly, "this is what the wind was warning us about. This branch is weak. It's not safe." Milo looked from the branch to Della, his tail giving a slow, uncertain wag. Just then, a stronger gust of wind blew through, and the branch creaked loudly, shifting just a little. Milo's eyes went wide. He carefully backed away from the tree. "You were right, Della," he whispered. "The wind," it groaned. Della nodded. "It's not just about hearing Milo. It's about watching and feeling, too. Nature is always talking to us. We just have to learn its language." From that day on, Della became Milo's teacher. She showed him how the direction of the swirling pollen could predict which way a rainstorm would travel. She taught him that when the river frogs went completely silent, it meant a predator was near. Milo tried his best. He was a clumsy student. Once, Della told him to watch how the clouds were gathering in the west. Milo was so busy staring at a fluffy cloud shaped like a rabbit that he didn't notice the rain cloud right behind it and got completely soaked. Another time, Della pointed out how the ants were marching in a straight line, carrying their eggs to higher ground. "That means the river will rise," she explained. Milo, distracted by a delicious-smelling picnic basket left by some villagers, accidentally trotted right through the ants' line, sending them scrambling in every direction. He felt terrible, but Della just nudged him with her beak. "It's okay, Milo. Listening takes practice." Weeks went by, and the village settled into the warm rhythm of late summer. One afternoon, the air grew incredibly still. It was a heavy, silent kind of day. The birds weren't singing. The insects weren't buzzing. Milo, who was dozing under a porch, felt his nose twitch. Something was different. He looked over at Della, who was standing perfectly still by the water's edge, her head raised. Then it came, a long, low whistle of wind that didn't come from any one direction, but seemed to come from everywhere at once. It wasn't a strong wind, but it was strange. It made the hair on Milo's back stand up. The surface of the river, which was usually smooth as glass on a day like this, began to ripple in an odd, crisscross pattern. "Della?" Milo asked, his voice a low rumble. "What is it?" Della's voice was quiet and serious. "I don't know. It's a whisper I've never heard before. It feels hidden. It's not a storm, and it's not the river. It's something else. Something is coming, and it's coming fast." Milo looked around. Everything seemed normal. The villagers were tending their gardens, and the children were playing by the swing set. No one else seemed to notice, but he trusted Della. And this time, he was listening with his whole body. He could feel the odd stillness in the air, see the nervous shiver of the leaves on the aspen trees, and hear that strange, unsettling whistle that wouldn't stop. "We have to warn them," Della quacked, her voice urgent. "But they won't believe me. They'll just say it's the wind." Milo looked at his friend, then at the peaceful village. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about chasing or playing. He was thinking about everyone's safety. A new kind of courage filled his chest. They might not listen to a duck. "Della," he said, standing up tall, "but they will listen to me and wheat that," he began to bark. It wasn't his playful, happy bark. It was a loud, deep, serious bark that echoed through the entire village. A bark that said, "Pay attention! Something is wrong." He ran from one end of the village to the other. He barked at the gardener, who looked up from his tomatoes in surprise. He barked at the baker, who poked his head out of his shop, covered in flour. He ran to the children and nudged them gently but firmly, barking and leading them back toward their homes. People started to come out of their houses, confused. "What's gotten into Milo?" one person asked. "He's never acted like this before," said another. They saw Milo running back and forth, guided by Della, who was quacking directions from the ground. They saw the seriousness in his eyes. He wasn't playing. He was working. Because Milo was so loved and known for his goofy, hintle natur, his strange behavior made everyone stop and wonder. They followed him, gathering in the village square, looking around, trying to see what had upset him. And that's when they heard it. A distant, rumbling sound. It grew louder and louder. Far upriver, a section of the steep cliffside, loosened by recent rains, had finally given way. A huge wave of water, mud, and rocks was surging down the river, straight toward their village. It wasn't a flood, but a sudden, powerful surge that would have washed away the riverbanks, the docks, and anything or anyone too close to the water's edge. Because everyone had followed Milo to the center of the village, away from the river, they were all safe. They watched in shock as the wave crashed past, sending water splashing high into the air before the river slowly returned to normal. The village was silent. Then, one by one, everyone turned to look at the small dog and the little duck standing together in the middle of the square. Milo was panting, his tail giving a small, tired wag. Della stood beside him, calm and proud. That day, nobody said, "It's just the wind." They understood. Della and Milo had saved them. From then on, when Della had something to say, everyone listened. And Milo, the once clumsy puppy, became the village's official guardian. He was still the same playful, happy dog, but now he had a new sense of purpose. He and Della would often sit together by the river, two unlikely friends, listening to the secrets whispered on the breeze. And the people of the village learned a beautiful lesson, that true wisdom doesn't always shout. Sometimes it comes as a quiet whisper. And if you learn to listen with your ears, your eyes, and your heart, you'll hear what nature is trying to tell you. It might just be the most important thing you ever hear. Thank you for listening to our story. Remember to always be curious and pay attention to the wonderful world around you. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures.